Hello and welcome to another Near Running Cast. As always, my name is Johno and I'm joined by Joey. How's it going, Joey?
Not too bad, thank you, Johno.
We're here to rewatch the wonderful Jank tournament we had. So in December, we had a Jank tournament. This is something we regularly do in Reading, where we encourage the less successful deck archetypes, maybe, that kind of thing, to come forward and compete for a maybe less prestigious crown. I don't know, Jank tournament, those seem to go down pretty well.
Yeah, they're good fun. Yeah, for sure.
So we have on the left-hand side here James Richmond, who travelled from Exeter for this showpiece, playing as a Chaos Theory. Of what kind, we know not. And on the right-hand side, we've got Tom Lane of Run Last Click, in fact. He came from London playing Cybernetics division. Once again, we don't really know what to expect. We're just going to have to... This is play it by ear. It's not Wizards, and it's not CTM, though.
You get more idea of what Cybernetics will be doing than of what Chaos Theory will be doing.
I've
So
got
at least you're probably going to try and kill them with brain damage or something.
Aha, Bioroid efficiency research for a Wotan. Okay, so yes, I guess we should explain then that Cybernetics division, should you not be aware, has a restriction where both players' hand sizes are reduced by 1. So that means that both players now are operating on a maximum 4-card hand size. And Lane has rushed out a Victoria Jenkins behind this Bioroid efficiency researched Wotan, which of course reduces the runner's clicks. So now he has a 4-card hand size, and the runner has a 3-click turn.
Nice. I imagine he's probably going to be playing the current then. That means it's 2 clicks to make a run.
It's a problem with Bioroids, that's for sure.
And Bioroids are a thing.
So James is going to have a read of this, and why wouldn't you? So Bioroid efficiency research. I'm going to have to explain all these cards, aren't I?
When it's broken, it
Bioroid efficiency research. Yeah, reses a piece of ice for ignoring the cost and hosts itself as a counter. When you break that ice, then it de-reses, and the counter goes away.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So it's a bit like Oversight AI.
Yes.
But it's restricted to Bioroids, but it doesn't trash when it...
That's right. Sorry, yes, it has to be a Bioroid, of course, yeah. It also doesn't... it's on break. Now, nobody breaks a Wotan, so if you plow through it and take all the bad stuff, that doesn't break it.
Yeah, sure. So it's a really good target for Bioroid.
That's a decent choice, actually, yeah. Now, James does have a Mopus, so he's reasonably off for money. He could go in, maybe next turn, to kill Victoria Jenkins. It's not very tempting, though, is it? As we see a Pancha-CT against all the personal workshop. I now have a 100-watt type of deck. This is...
Yeah, it's one of those.
It's one of those. So Pancha-CT, of course, adds subtypes to ice on encounter.
Yeah.
And that could be used for the likes of, say, Deus Ex or Sharpshooter, or perhaps something even more janky. I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
So Sagittata is the obvious...
yeah.
Now, we talked about this on our esteemed podcast, that Sagittata is the diva that breaks ice that has at least 3 subtypes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would hope that's in this deck if it's playing this Jank tournament.
I certainly expect it is, yeah. Okay, so we've got an upgrade on the Victoria Jenkins.
But there also might be like chameleons and stuff, and just all shape of nonsense you can put. Personal workshops. I love personal workshop in CT. Like, in competitive decks, it's great as well. Yeah. It's just Mopus.
Yeah, James is going to spend his entire 3-click turn clicking Mopus. Okay, money, sure.
I feel like this deck needs money for some reason. Like
all Jank decks need money.
Installing an Opus, installing a personal workshop. Yeah, it's really annoying because money takes card slots,
yeah, first of all you have to get rich, and then the dreams work.
And all the dreams also need card slots, so it's hard. That's why Mopus is a great solution for Jank, because you're like, here is my 1 card solution to all of my economy.
Yeah, Chaos Theory. I mean, you've only got 40 cards in this deck, though. Does that hamper you? You haven't got room for all the good stuff.
Yeah, but you've got MU that also
you do have
helps
memory
with your Jank.
for Mopus. Yeah. Okay, so Lane is going to install a second upgrade in this remote and another piece of ice. So is this going to become a scoring remote?
He's just protecting Vicky. That's just
sure. Okay.
Odd. Like, because he's gonna, I would imagine, not want to trash that.
So that suggests that Victoria Jenkins is not going to hang around for long when he starts to score agendas, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
He's just going to build another remote, or no?
Yeah, maybe.
Or he's not going to score agendas.
Or he really just.
He's going to kill.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about what this might allow. Now, a 4-card hand size is pretty good with the Chief Slee.
Yeah, so that's what I took on the day. I was running Cybernetics, Cybernetics,
yeah, okay.
Which worked very well.
I've got a feeling he's not using that, and my logic is this. Victoria Jenkins is 5 influence.
Yeah.
That's a lot of influence to spend on something that doesn't really benefit you.
And he found it very early, which makes me thinking, is he running more than 1?
If he is, that's crazy. But maybe.
He could be running
2. He could be crazy, right?
But you'd run 1 and tech startups, wouldn't you, instead? You just run
yes. I think tech startup is a nice influence-free way to get stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. A bit of discussion here because James forgot he was only operating on 3 clicks. So he wants to install this and do something else, but he can't. So he's still going to put the it's Subsoft mem chip, I think, Sub Solutions mem chip on
it's
the
a memory.
Workshop. Yeah, it's a memory thing. He needs memory, I guess. Well, he's got Mopus and Pancha-CT, so does that suggest he's going to have another Pancha-CT and maybe a bunch of programs like Sadijata?
An assortment of them that can get through things.
Yeah, or whatever. Now, from memory, as Lane Blue levels, from memory, I think James actually... Now, if he's playing Sadijata, it doesn't matter what subtypes he adds to the ice.
No.
I think he brought a bag from which he could pull random subtypes. Just legal subtypes. And say, oh, you're right, now your ice is Ritzy. Things like that.
Right. They have to be legal subtypes? Can't they be anything?
I believe it was clarified that they had to be subtypes that exist within the game.
Right.
So you can't add Screw You as a subtype, for instance. I have done that.
Sure. I mean, I don't know why that would ever be advantageous to do. So,
like I say, Sadijata. It doesn't matter what the subtype actually is. Right. Okay. So a fairly slow build from both sides here. The runner seems fairly willing to just Mopus. He's been doing a bit of drawing. He's going to struggle a bit with. I don't know. He needs to check ice eventually, I guess, but he doesn't have a breaker.
Yeah. I don't think either of them are in a rush to do anything particularly like, score out or anything crazy like that. I think he's got a bit of time. A lot of these games in this tournament went because there's no rushing really, so everything was a bit like he's played that before. Very good prediction. Yeah. So yes, now as well as having a 3-click turn, thanks to Victoria Jenkins, enhanced login protocol means that it takes 2 clicks to run, make a non-run event based run. Yeah, that's a bit tough. I found this playing HB sort of testing for this Jank tournament, and yes, I did do a little bit of testing. That the problem with HB was unless you rushed a bit, they had no incentive to run, and if they didn't run, you can't do your alternative win condition like sleeve them or
whatever
kill them, whatever. Because they'll just sit there and go, oh, you're doing weird stuff, but you're on no points and you have no threat of scoring an agenda, so I'll just sit here. Yeah. And so you have to rush a little bit, otherwise why run?
If this was a competitive game, I imagine that the runner against this deck would say, well, that's all nice, all that stuff you're doing over there, I don't really understand it, but you're not really defending R&D, so I'm going to install medium now and win.
Yeah. Or here's 3 RDIs on my personal workshop, I'll stim hack into R&D.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if you're playing against this runner, it'd say, okay, well, those are very nice cards, and I haven't seen many of them before. I'm just going to start scoring agendas now, because you have no way of actually,
you're
threatening my remotes.
You're setting up very slowly, and I bet you in 15 or 20 turns, this will be really intimidating. But until then...
That's right. So it's but it's interesting to see these two kind of really odd decks go head to head. That's kind of the fun of these tournaments. It occurs to me that I wonder if Lane should find a way to put Rua Valley into this remote. That'd be pretty good. That's the region that requires the runner to spend an extra click to run there. I mean, you could lock them out of a remote.
It might already be there.
I think it would have to be res before the run was declared. So it might be in the deck. I don't think it's in the remote, otherwise he might have already resed it. Although James hasn't yet made a run, so he doesn't seem particularly willing to, I understand. In his shoes, I'd be apprehensive about what is happening over there, what that ice is. There's going to be some fairly meaty ice, you expect.
But he hasn't got much, 7 money only.
He does only have 7 credits, so you're not worried about hanging a Janus or anything like that. Oh, Hopper.
That Hopper's going to help. He's got a stim hack in hand, which is quite funny, which I don't think he's going to play, just because...
So he's only got 1 click left on this turn, I think. So if he... Right, so yes, he has a stim hack and a levy in hand. So if he plays the stim hack, he loses the levy.
But also against Cybernetics, do you ever play stim hack when you've got 20 credits and a Mopus? Like, why play stim hack?
Yes. He has SMC. But yes.
But I mean, he's got enough money to not need the 9 credits. And
I see what you're saying.
Damage
so he could just
SMC,
right? Yeah. Well, it's but it means that he only has to run for 1 click. So it's kind of gains him a click.
Gains him a click and 9 credits,
and at the cost of brain damage.
Yeah,
and a lost levy
might be relevant.
Yeah. I should mention there's also a Deus Ex in the bin. So Deus Ex does work with Pancha-CT. So for instance, with Deus Ex, with Pancha-CT, you can add AP as a subtype to a piece of ice if it doesn't have it.
Yeah, and break everything Deus Ex once break with Deus Ex.
In fact, Wotan might have AP. No, I think it doesn't. I think it's just barrier Biorid. Even though it can do brain damage. It only does brain damage of the runner's own volition. So
it's not AP.
Yeah, I think it's not AP. But even if it was, it's got Pancha-CT.
Destroyer anyway. Yeah.
It's not Destroyer, I don't think either, no.
It's got at least 2 top types because it's at least Barrier, Byron, isn't it?
So he's going to stim hack this remote.
Wow. Losing his levy.
He's going to lose this levy at the end of his run. He's also going to hit Vanilla. So he can... he's got SMC and loads of money, so he can break it, I assume. There's only one subtype on that Vanilla. Oh, Ryan Knight. Oh, excellent. Okay, so he's going to take brain damage now.
And he's going to die.
He does have a hopper on the personal workshop, so I imagine that'll be installed. But yes, so the Ryan Knight does brain damage during the run. And if there are no clicks remaining, which of course there are not, thanks to Victoria Jenkins and Enhanced Login Protocol. But he's going to encounter the Vanilla, and while doing so, he's going to install the hopper and immediately use it to draw some cards. Seems like a good way to not die.
Yep. It's the only way not to die that I can see.
Yes. I guess he's trying to work out if he can break it as well. He does still have 9 credits, so he's been using his stim hack credits.
I think it's got to be
I wonder what he's going to get.
A chameleon or something would be ideal.
So it is a Sagittata. Very nice. So yes, this does for 1 credit break ice. I should have left that up for longer, I guess. Break ice for break subroutine for 1 credit.
So he's jacking out.
And strength 2, 1 to boost, and it gains but it can only break ice with 3 subtypes.
Yeah. So he's going to pop the hopper and then jack out.
I think so, yes, because he doesn't have another Pancha-CT. He could have. Now I don't know if he's got a real breaker. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean a single chameleon would have been
chameleon,
ideal.
For instance, yeah. So he could,
because he could reinstall that back on the personal workshop every turn.
But maybe he's not interested in getting in. I don't know, because with Pancha-CT and Sagittata, he can break the Wotan. Paintbrush. Oh, okay. So the stim hack damage hit a paintbrush. Okay, that's quite good as well, I guess. All kinds of subtype adding.
Oh yeah, because that adds a subtype.
Paintbrush adds a subtype. Yes, it adds one of the 3 real subtypes, which isn't relevant for Sagittata. It doesn't matter, right? As long as it has 3 subtypes. So yeah, you can do that. Wow. This is...
So he's got 2 brain damage and Cybernetics.
He does have 2 brain damage and Cybernetics,
so
that's right.
So 1 card maximum.
He's
2 card maximum.
Yeah.
Size.
Yeah. Yes. Not great. Okay, so how is Lane going to respond to this?
No threat of scoring, so unless he's got...
That's true, and Victoria Jenkins remains safe, so that
and he can't be really playing sort of Scorch or sort of any kill, really.
So... It's interesting. We don't really know what Lane's up to, apart from the fact he has Victoria Jenkins in his deck. I guess that's right.
He could have 5 for 3s and be trying to... What's the card called? The kill card that when he's still an agenda.
Punitive.
Yeah, that's not a common way.
Maybe, yeah. So there's no agendas around. Okay, so we can get Juice's Wild, which is going to draw some cards. So let's think about Lane for a second. He's got Victoria Jenkins in this deck. So it must be...
Nice.
So it must be, and Hourglass kind of agrees with this, it must be based on some kind of click taxing, right? So with Victoria Jenkins and ELP, it means that the runner is going to struggle to run with any clicks remaining. So things like Ryan Knight and Bioroids become very good in this kind of deck. Hourglass is the only piece of RSR&D isn't ideal.
No,
right?
It's not great.
Unless you've got Ryan Knight on it.
I tried to get Hourglass into my Cybernetics deck. I was like, great. No one wants to break that. And Hudson as well, just for reasons that no one wants to break Hudson, and it's often irrelevant, but it's funny because you get a sleep counter. They're like, do they break it to not get a sleep counter?
Yes, I also at the Jank I also faced a deck that just had loads of subroutines that were not very good, so you just couldn't be bothered to break them, and Slee, and so it just made it really annoying.
It made them suddenly more taxing.
Like IRS and things like that, so I don't really care about these subs.
Rezzing Ravener when there's no other Bioroids, and they're like, sure, and I'm like, 2 sleep counters.
Wow, that is annoying.
Yeah.
So with the Juice's Wild, James drew some cards, and then he exposed the Hourglass and R&D. We saw that, and he ran and trashed an Adonis. He's also going to install an R&D interface. He did install it straight away, but he will correct that in a moment to put it on Personal Workshop.
Yeah,
because that's strictly better, since he's not going to use it this turn.
He's got another stim hack.
Has he? Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm sure he won't misuse that at all. Adonis.
So he can stim hack last click into R&D.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Stim hack, of course, ignores ELP, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen agendas yet. So does that maybe 5/3s? Maybe that is.
There's so much. The plan. It's also Cybernetics is also a smaller deck size, right? So
it's easier to force. Oh, an ABT.
That was just on the table. I love how he has 2 remotes and the ABT was on the table.
So
oh dear.
He scored an ABT, and James said, "Are you gonna fire it?" And Lane said, "Obviously," in the spirit of the day. So he did fire it. He did miss 3 non-ice. That is sad times, but of course, no regrets. You can never have regrets. Firing an ABT is a sweet, sweet pleasure, even when it goes horribly wrong.
It's not, Jono. It's not a sweet pleasure when it goes horribly wrong.
I guess it depends on the prestige of the tournament.
Sure. It might also get rid of this ELP, though. That's the problem.
Yes, there's almost certainly at least one agenda, so I think it will. In fact, there are 2 GFIs. Yikes. And Ryan Knight, I guess, was the other card. So that is going to be... Ooh, that's 4 points then for the runner, and it does kill the ELP. Sad times. So that was... But that ELP still triggered that turn, so he did clicks 1 and 2 run. So he does have 1 click remaining.
Yep.
He's going to boldly stim hack R&D. That seems reckless. Although, the thing is... You know there's... in fact, it begins a stim hack, probably wise. You know there's an hourglass in R&D, so why wouldn't you run on last click on R&D and install the RDI and just access 2 cards? Because he's not going to res it, and even if he does, you don't care.
Yeah, I
unless there's a sleigh kicking around. So I might have
isn't.
which there isn't. So I might have liked to see him. I might have liked to see him check R&D there. Like you can, it's 3 credits to install an RDI. That's a good exchange for 2 accesses.
That's a score. That should be an attempt to a score.
So we now have a basically a new remote. So this looks like it might be a scoring remote, and Victoria Jenkins is just... A lot of resources have gone into protecting Victoria Jenkins.
Yeah, like a lot. You just put another upgrade down.
Brain chip. Okay, so brain chip's going to help quite a lot against this whole hand throttling that's going on. Because, let's do some quick maths. So there's a 4-card maximum hand size, but he has 2 brain damage, so that's down to 2 cards. But with brain chip, it gets +1 for each agenda point. So he's now at 6.
That's sad times
Which
for
is
Lane.
a lot more realistic. So with brain chip, is this... why do you have brain chip in this deck? Like
because of the 3 stim hacks.
Okay, sure. So okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad you explained this to me. So you have it specifically because you can take a lot of brain damage.
Which I should point out, if you're going to put 3 stim hacks in your deck, you're accepting that fact. You shouldn't then spend influence on. But if you're going to play in Jank, it's a bit different. But I mean, I've played a lot of stim shop, and you're just like, I'm going to operate 1 card in hand.
You just
that's fine.
Okay, you accept your fate.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have...
Plascreets are a good idea.
Yeah.
And hoppers now, because they install on workshop, so they're great to have. They don't cost you the install, which is good. You can put them out when you need them. But I think you just accept the fact that you're not going to have many cards.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to have Biodor Efficiency Research to res a Janus on the corp side. Protecting a Jackson. Okay. So it's not score remote yet, but maybe that will be.
Yeah, that's
Janus, it turns out, is hard to break when you have 3 click turns.
And no David. It's
true. So what's the solution? Does it already have 3 subtypes? Hold on. It's Barrier, Sentry, is probably AP. So it does have 3 subtypes. So you probably can break it with a lot of money. Sent Japta. What's it, strength 8? So it'd be 6 to boost, 4 subs. So that's 10.
It's just 1/1 strength 2. It's a corroder for everything with 3
corroder,
subs.
corroder for 3 sub things.
Okay. So yeah, quite expensive.
I think it is anyway. I apologise if I'm wrong. So all clicks, of course, but yeah.
I was thinking about dropping Janus for my all pyroid deck, which would be a sad day. Turns out it's not as good a piece of ice as you want.
You continue playing your Jank deck way beyond
the Jank tournament.
Playing at actual real tournaments. He's going to see an ABT. Okay, now interesting because that puts him in the position as he accessed Fairchild 3, I think it was, and an ABT with his RDI interface, his RD interface. He's on 6 points, which means that now if he can get in and trash that Victoria Jenkins, he will win because don't forget Victoria Jenkins when trashed is worth 2 agenda points. So I wonder if he's tempted to just kind of build up and hit that.
Or Lane might install over it, which would be sad, but
maybe. Well, so James has already suggested that he suspects there might be self-destruct in that server. That seems like a reasonable choice, a very lame choice. Good, yeah. Also, if you're on hand capping, that seems like a thing you'd do if they're on like 2-card hand size. Lane installed ice over R&D, trashing the somewhat useless hourglass. So I wonder what we'll see there.
Self-destruct is really good with that, actually.
Because if they're down to a 2-card hand size and they get greedy, even an agenda, right? You put an agenda in there, and if they're trying to check
it would be even better with a Victoria Jenkins because you just can't get those 2 points. Then it's impossible.
The problem is he's kind of been losing the economic battle all game. I mean, he's got it back a little bit now, but self-destruct is a trace, and with 5 cards in the remote, it would be a trace 5. To do 3 net. That's still not ideal. Okay. So James can put down some more shaper cards.
Yep. That brain chip's really. I mean, I don't think Lane would have got the kill, but that's really.
Yeah,
really hard to get that.
including a second. So the second Pancha-CT on this personal workshop. So that means that he will be able to break every
single piece of ice. Yeah.
As far as I know, it must be the case. All ice has at least one subtype. So that would just put it up to 3. And he's got the memory for it as well, thanks to a good friend, Chaos Theory. Although he doesn't have memory for other things. Oh no, he did install the memory chip. Oh, and he's got brain chip. He's got loads of memory. He's swimming in memory.
So much memory.
Okay, all right. So
install.
Yeah, installing 2 cards and a piece of ice in a remote, in a brand new remote.
When you know that he can get through any singular piece of ice for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Opus run.
Let's see. So Beth fired, I think, for a credit. I might be a card actually. It's a card because it's 10 credits. Yeah. I feel like running that remote.
Run it.
Will end the game. Now, I don't know if that will be a win or a loss.
I don't think it will win it for lane.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's the worst thing it could be for the runner in this case.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's batty something. So if you batty let's say you batty Sagittata, and it's program trash. Maybe something like a Roto even. I don't know. Like you could wipe out some programs, but you're not gonna. It would have to end the run if it's next to an agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steam Hack and R&D. Okay, so
he'd also have to have like the influence to be even running.
Fairchild 3. That's very kind. It has three subtypes. Very good. Okay, so that's going to be
6.
a mere 6 to break with Sagittata. That's quite a good breaker.
It is quite a good breaker.
Breaks everything. And you can swap it with another diva.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because
why, Joey?
A lot of the
Diva's all right.
Yeah, a lot of the singular subtype things are 1 sub, like vanillas and things. That just say barrier, 1 sub, quandary, code gate, 1 sub.
Seems expensive. All right, it's going to access 2. What's he going to get?
He wins the game.
He wins the game. So he can trash Victoria Jenkins.
He does have 2 Victoria Jenkins.
5,
That's 10 of his influence. Don't think there's a batty in this deck, Johno.
No, I don't need that. He's got at least 1 Jackson, so he's probably got, let's say, 2 or 3 Jacksons. That's a lot of influence on the yellow.
That's a lot of influence.
Lane, why? No, okay. I'm not gonna.
Don't question.
For putting two Victoria Jenkins in his Cybernetics division deck. Oh, was a self-destruct and
Heinlein grid?
Maybe, yeah. You might be right. I don't know. I don't want to guess. Yeah, it looks like Heinlein grid could be. Which is I guess that's the one where they lose all their money if they lose a click.
If they spend a click or lose a click.
Yeah. That seems good again with Bioroids and stuff.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
It seems really strong. That Heinlein grid is always like a card you want to put in, but like you can't fit it, or it's also a region, and you have other regions and stuff that you need to play, but you're like, this is a really strong region.
So I guess Lane's deck. So now we know very well what these decks are trying to do. So Lane's deck was click throttling. So it was trying to get Victoria Jenkins to play.
And click throttling.
Yeah, and it was just trying to reduce the runner's options as much as possible. Which is interesting. I'm not sure what the win condition is. I guess the idea that if they have very few cards and they have very short turns, the scoring windows are kind of easier to identify. So maybe that's the plan. He had GFIs.
He certainly was building a
3-2s.
scoring remote, so I think he must be. He was going for the score. I think. I don't think he was going for that. I bet he gets some random kills.
Yeah, he might get kills on like an Hourglass into a Janus or something weird. For all we know, he's got Howler in that deck. I know you had fun with Howler.
Howler's great. Yeah, that will jack out if you Howler. That's the problem.
Yes, of course. Okay, so yeah, that won't work. That won't work.
World Ball Howler is the solution.
Yes. Now we're talking Jank. Okay. So all right, interesting, and it was an interesting idea. Would it be... No, right, here's a very serious question. Let's say that we want to make this deck good. We want, in Worlds 2017, we want this dumb deck to be an archetype. Would it be better in ETF? I think it probably would, right?
Yeah, well, if you're going to do click throttling, I would just do click throttling.
Because he installed a lot of cards, would make a lot of money.
And then I'd run 1 Vicky and Textile subs.
Or
and then you can also run the there's a lot of other click, whenever you trash a card,
also like searches for executives as well. But yeah, sorry.
Sure. And there's the one that whenever you an additional cost to trash things, you spend a click, and an additional to run here, you spend a click.
There's Strongbox,
all of that
which is you have to spend a click to steal an agenda. It's like red herrings per clicks. That would be super annoying in that deck.
Yeah.
It might have been in there.
Put all that stuff in there. I would like to try that deck actually, and you'd have the extra 5 cards to try and put more stuff in there.
But would you put it in ETF?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to run a 49 card deck, I'd put it in ETF. Of course.
All right. Okay. And on the runner side, so it seemed reminiscent of the kind of art thief style Chaos Theory, in that it was all stim hacks and personal workshops, and that's how you got your stuff out.
Yeah, like Stim Shop, but with a worse breaker solution.
Sure. Spoken like a true adult.
What you want is 3 Ant-Mans.
Yeah.
It's the only way to play.
Okay. And with so yeah, it was with the weird Pancha-CT Sagittata combo, which is hilarious. So I guess that's his solution. Once you've got even one Pancha-CT down, you can break any ice with multiple subtypes as long as you've got Sagittata. And if you get the second down, you can break everything except for
stack servers is a problem.
Yeah. The classic AI hate.
Multiple eyes.
Both decks quite interesting. It seemed that Lane's day got a lot worse when he fired that ABT.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He might have been. He might have just lost about 15 minutes later if he hadn't fired the ABT. It would have definitely eaten out a lot longer.
Yeah. I don't know.
No.
But you should still fire the ABT, right? You always do, especially if you've got Janice's and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, yeah. I mean, it was a really fun day. Like really enjoyable, and as well as doing the as well as encouraging the dumb decks, there were also some rules in each round to kind of mix things up a bit. So in this one, I believe both sides got a super mulligan. I think that was this round. So where they after they had mulligans, normally they had 5 cards or 9 if you're Andy, and you got to draw 4 extra cards and then choose the 4 you didn't want and shuffle them back into your deck. So it just allows you to kind of happen to draw the cards you needed.
That's why you got Vicky right at the beginning of the game.
So yeah, maybe that's why. Yeah. There were a few rules like that in each round, and they just kind of helped coax the Jank out. Like sometimes Jank only works if everything moves a bit more smoothly than it does normally, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you need a bit of luck in a lot of Jank decks.
So anyway, with that nonsense out of the way, in the next video we're going to watch the much more prestigious final of the Laurie Poulter, esteemed UK player, his ranking tournament finals. So obviously throughout 2016, he had a kind of ranking system run alongside all the UK tournaments, where players that attended lots of tournaments and performed well in lots of tournaments were ranked, and he invited the 24 best players to a finals event in London, and they played. It was interesting actually. He played in a kind of World Cup style. You attended this. You qualified.
I did.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you very much.
You had a day.
I had the day happened and then it stopped happening and I went home. Yeah, no, I hadn't played for a long time. I actually took my Jank decks the Jank decks I played this day, and I was like, I quite like these decks. I'm going to refine them a little bit, and sort of my corp was actually quite a bit different because I wasn't doing Whirlpool, Howler, Slee Kill.
Oh yes,
I was doing Surat
combo,
but it was still combo
janky.
ECF, and then I took my max deck that I played here. So again, I tweaked it quite a bit to make it less janky, but I carried those decks forward. Yeah. It turns out when everyone played Wizard CTM and really wanted to win that tournament, it was quite difficult. Yeah. Like I was like, I'll be fine if I don't hit like Wizard or tryhards and stuff. That won't happen at like this really prestigious tournament. Yeah, it turns out I did.
Yes.
So I did awfully, but it was good to see everyone.
Suffice to say, you did not make the final. But after the interesting World Cup format where they had 5 separate groups and the 4 groups of 6. Yeah, 4 groups. And each the 2 winners of each group went through to a top 8, kind of World Cup style. The final was between Chris Dyer, who we happen to know. He's a good player.
He's quite good, yeah. I've heard he can play Netrunner.
He can win tournaments. Yeah. And Theo Clifford, who is also a very good player.
Who's also a very good player. Also been not around as much recently, but it's very good.
Yes, he had did have a very good 2016, and they met in this final. So we'll see them. Theo is playing CTM, I believe is a fairly standard CTM list. I think it's bankers as opposed to Bart, that kind of thing. But Chris is playing an Andromeda deck, Power Tap Andromeda deck, which it would appear is strongly teched to beat CTM. So
yeah, I'm interested to watch this because I've never seen. I don't really know much about Criminal, but I've also never really seen a deck teched like this to beat CTM. Like it's a bit reminiscent of the UK Nationals final with having Rabbit Hole Kate just to be like, I'm gonna beat CTM.
Yeah, this is the one deck that I want to beat.
I quite want to see. I want to watch Chris pilot this deck in CTM. It should be quite interesting.
Yeah. All right. Great. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. So, with that all out of the way, I will remind all of our viewers that they can find all the videos on the website neoreadinggrid.co.uk, and they can find us on Twitter and on Facebook and on Patreon if they'd like to support the channel. Thank you, Joe, for having me commentate.
Thank you very much for having me,
and thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time.